On the desolate, icy moon of Elysium 9, where the horizon blurred into a never-ending expanse of snow, a stark metal research facility stood like a solitary sentinel against the eternal cold. Dr. Evelyn Reyes, a seasoned astrophysicist, led a small team of 6, each drawn to the allure of the unknown and the promise of groundbreaking discovery. They were here to study the bizarre fluctuations in the moon's electromagnetic fields, but as the weeks dragged on, an insidious dread began to creep into their isolated haven, intertwining with their every thought. Initially, the facility hummed with excitement, each scientist bubbling with anticipation as they gathered data and formulated theories. But soon, the isolation of their surroundings began to take its toll. The whispering winds outside felt charged, almost sentient, as if they carried with them echoes of forgotten secrets. It started with soft, melodic murmurs, which seeped through the walls like an unwelcome guest. At first, the team dismissed it as a figment of their imaginations, an illusion born from prolonged exposure to the oppressive solitude. But the whispers persisted, growing louder, twisting into a haunting lullaby that haunted their dreams and taunted their waking hours. One particularly frigid night, Evelyn sat alone in the dimly lit control room, a sea of data spread before her. The whispers returned, swirling around her like a fog. The ethereal sounds seemed to beckon her closer, an enchanting melody that both thrilled and terrified her. Straining to listen, she felt the words brush against her mind, dancing just out of reach. Her colleagues, weary and paranoid, brushed it off as cabin fever, mere echoes of their fraying sanity. But Evelyn sensed something far more sinister, a cosmic call that sent shivers down her spine. As the weeks passed, the oppressive atmosphere grew heavier, thickening like the swirling snowstorms outside. Dr. Malik, the biologist, became increasingly erratic, his once rational mind spiraling into obsession. He would spend hours alone in the darkened labs, scribbling bizarre symbols on the walls, his eyes wide with a feverish light. "They are watching us," he murmured, his voice tinged with madness. "The ones who dwell beyond the stars." Meanwhile, Sarah, the engineer, became convinced she had seen something moving just outside the facility, a dark, amorphous shape that slipped beneath the snow, always out of sight yet ever present. Evelyn fought to maintain control over her team, but paranoia seeped into their minds like a malignant infection. One night, as the whispers intensified, a seductive urgency gripped her. Unable to resist the call, she donned her thermal gear and stepped into the biting cold, the moon casting an eerie glow over the frozen landscape. The world felt alive, the whispers swirling around her, promising forbidden knowledge and secrets buried in the abyss. The ground suddenly trembled, a violent shudder that rattled her bones. A fissure opened beneath her feet, gaping and insatiable, as if the very earth had turned against her. Evelyn stumbled back, heart racing, as she peered into the abyss. What she saw sent terror coursing through her veins. Twisted figures writhed in the darkness, their elongated limbs and hollow eyes reaching out with an insatiable hunger. The whispers transformed into a cacophony of despair, a symphony of tortured souls calling out to her from the void, their wails echoing in her mind. Panic surged through her, a primal instinct screaming for escape. She bolted back toward the facility, dread gnawing at her insides, only to find the horrors had already infiltrated their sanctuary. Malik sat curled in a corner, muttering incoherently, his once bright eyes now clouded with madness. Sarah had barricaded herself in the control room, her frantic fingers dancing over buttons as she insisted the shadows were watching her, ready to pounce. Evelyn's heart sank as the realization struck her like a blow. The whispers were not mere sounds but manifestations of something ancient and malevolent, feeding on their collective fear and despair. With communication systems down and the outside world cut off, she understood that she had to confront whatever horror they had unwittingly awakened. In the depths of the facility, she discovered the source of the whispers, an ancient artifact pulsating with a dark, unsettling energy, its surface etched with intricate, arcane symbols that seemed to pulse in time with her racing heart. The symbols Malik had inscribed on the walls mirrored the markings on the artifact, and a chilling revelation washed over her. This object had been dormant, lying in wait, a predator that thrived on the despair of those who dared to seek the truth. As shadows encroached upon her, swirling with a life of their own, Evelyn felt the weight of their collective fear pressing against her chest. The whispers crescendoed into a tormenting symphony, each note a reminder of the horrors that lay just beyond their understanding. With a final surge of determination, she reached for the artifact, her fingertips brushing against its cold surface. Visions exploded in her mind, nightmarish landscapes filled with anguish and suffering, echoes of countless souls consumed by the same darkness. The whispers morphed into a chilling warning, a reminder that some knowledge was never meant to be uncovered. In a desperate act of defiance, she channeled her fear into the artifact, unleashing a blinding pulse of energy that reverberated through the facility. The shadows recoiled, their whispers transforming into shrieks of rage as the fissure began to close. But the cost was steep. Evelyn felt her consciousness fraying, her essence being pulled toward the very darkness she sought to repel. In her final moments, she managed to scrawl a warning on the wall, her last testament to the horrors they had faced. Beware the whispers. Months later, when rescue teams finally arrived, they found the facility frozen in time, a mausoleum of madness. The walls bore the frantic symbols of a mind lost to despair, a chilling testament to what had transpired. Only one room remained untouched, a sanctuary of her sacrifice, with Evelyn's final message echoing in the cold air like a ghostly lament. Deep in the cosmos, the artifact pulsed quietly, a dark star waiting for its next victim. The whispers, though momentarily silenced, promised a return, a sinister reminder that the lure of forbidden knowledge would forever beckon the curious, enticing them toward the darkness that lay beyond the stars. Those who sought the truth would find themselves ensnared, lost in the embrace of shadows that whispered sweet nothings while concealing unspeakable horrors. And somewhere, in the depths of Elysium 9, the darkness awaited, hungry for the next soul to unravel.